In Nicaragua, a nation where Catholicism has long shaped daily life and culture, the church is facing unprecedented restrictions. The government has banned new priestly ordinations in key dioceses. Tonight on The World May It, the latest escalation in the ongoing tensions between the state and the Catholic Church, the impact on communities, and the broader implications for religious freedom. Good day. As of mid-March 2026, the Nicaraguan government under President Daniel Ortega and Vice President Rosario Murillo has imposed a ban on priestly and diaconal ordinations in 4 dioceses: Jinotega, Ciuna, Matagalpa, and Esteli. These dioceses are currently without resident bishops, all of whom have been forced into exile. Reports from Catholic news agencies and researchers indicate this is not a temporary administrative delay, but a targeted restriction enforced through police and administrative measures. Seminarians who completed their theological formation in 2024 and 2025 remain unable to be ordained, creating a significant pastoral challenge. In the Diocese of Matagalpa, for example, estimates suggest only about 30% of clergy remain active, with many priests elderly or returned from retirement due to prior exiles. The ban severs the pipeline for new vocations at a time when the church is already stretched thin. This comes amid other recent measures. In January 2026, authorities prohibited door-to-door pastoral missions in the Diocese of Leon, directing priests to confine their activities to church premises. Priests report ongoing surveillance, including monitoring of communications and requirements to submit activity reports. These steps are intensifying pressure on the church's ability to serve communities effectively. Despite these challenges, the Catholic Church in Nicaragua continues to adapt. With bishops in exile, including Bishop Rolando Alvarez, deported to Rome in 2024 after detention, and Bishop Carlos Herrera of Jinotega, expelled in late 2024, the Church relies on remote coordination, such as authorization letters sent electronically. In February 2026, reports confirmed that at least 2 Nicaraguan seminarians were ordained priests quietly in the Diocese of Limón, Costa Rica, to circumvent domestic restrictions and avoid reprisals. Vocations persist. Church sources note that young men continue entering seminaries, not viewing the obstacles as part of their call to service. Exiled clergy emphasize resilience, with one describing the church as under pressure but continuing its mission. Lay faithful play a key role. During past crises, such as the 2022 siege of Bishop Alvarez's residence, parishioners gathered to pray outside barricades while masses were streamed online. Communities maintained faith through private prayer, small gatherings, and support networks. This response reflects a church determined to sustain sacramental life and pastoral care amid constraints. The decisions originate from the highest levels of government. President Daniel Ortega, now in his late 70s and a former revolutionary leader, and Vice President Rosario Murillo, who serves as co-president. Tensions with the Catholic Church have deepened since 2018, and when bishops and clergy provided mediation and sanctuary during nationwide protests, the regime has viewed the Church's role as political opposition. Specific measures, such as the ordination ban in dioceses linked to exiled bishops like Rolando Alvarez, a prominent critic who faced detention and exile, appear tied to these long-standing frictions. Analysts, including exiled researcher Martha Patricia Molina, describe the strategy as an effort to weaken independent religious institutions and promote state-aligned leadership. The pressure extends beyond Catholicism. Since 2018, the government has revoked the legal status of thousands of nonprofits, including evangelical churches, closed religious radio stations, and imposed restrictions on other faith groups. This reflects a broader policy limiting independent voices in society. On the roots trace back to April 2018, when protests against Social Security reforms escalated into widespread calls for democratic change. The government's response resulted in over 300 deaths, according to international human rights reports. During the unrest, Catholic churches offered refuge to protesters and injured individuals, and bishops mediated talks. The regime later characterized these actions as support for a foreign-backed coup. Since then, the crackdown has intensified. Hundreds of priests, nuns, and seminarians exiled or forced to flee, at least 4 bishops expelled, Over 1,600 churches and religious organizations shuttered or deregistered. Laws like the 2021 Law of Treason to the Fatherland used to strip nationality and impose penalties. In 2026, additional restrictions include bans on public processions and pastoral outreach. Researchers warn of potential parish closures if clergy shortages worsen due to aging priests and blocked ordinations. This represents a systematic effort to limit the church's public and institutional presence. Nicaragua remains one of the most Catholic countries in Latin America. Public expressions of faith, especially Holy Week processions, are central to national identity, fostering community and cultural continuity. Restrictions on ordinations and pastoral activities threaten this fabric. Without new priests, sacraments like the Eucharist and confession become harder to access, particularly in rural areas. Parishes risk gradual decline, affecting not just spiritual life, but social services the Church provides. The government promotes Sandinismo as a unifying ideology, viewing independent religious activity, especially when addressing justice or rights, as a potential challenge to state authority. International observers, including Open Doors and the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, classify the situation as severe persecution, with believers increasingly restricted in public expression. This is a contest over the role of faith in public life. In Nicaragua today, the Catholic Church operates under significant constraints. Empty seminaries in affected dioceses, exiled leaders governing remotely, and communities adapting to limited outreach. Yet reports highlight continued vocations, creative solutions like cross-border ordinations, and resilient lay involvement. The situation underscores broader questions about religious freedom in the region. As pressures mount, the Church in Nicaragua persists in its mission, drawing on deep historical roots. This has been the World Might's special report on the evolving crisis facing Nicaragua's Catholic Church. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, and we'll bring you more global stories next time.